Hi, I'm Christina Lynn, and welcome to another RCN and Ameliorate podcast. We're here today with my lovely co-host, Stacy Mayone, and Stacy is the founder and director, of course, of Ameliorate. If you'll tell us a little bit about what's going on with Ameliorate.
Yes. Ameliorate your life. Ameliorate means to enhance, to improve, or to make better. So I created Ameliorate Your Life as we have many different holistic spiritual practices that will ameliorate your life. And we've teamed up with RCN, and we are in the business of rescuing children and creating aftercare for them.
Which is wonderful. We're so blessed to have you, and the aftercare is so important because survivors need so much as they move forward. So again, you'll be able to see a lot more about Ameliorate and all that we're doing here at RCN, rescuechildrennow.org. Please come and see us on our website. We are so blessed to have with us today Helen O. Helen, thank you for being with us. Helen is a survivor of human trafficking. She was trafficked from the age of 15 to 18, and thank God she survived the horrors of trafficking. She has dedicated her life now to helping children everywhere to avoid becoming that next victim of trafficking. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you.
And we would just like to start out, and I know it's not easy probably sometimes to talk about these things, but we really admire your courage. If you could tell us how your journey began, that this horrific thing happened in your life.
There was a lot of things that led up to what happened to me. It actually started when I was 13. I was raped when I was 13, and then as it grew up later on, 14, 15, my mother remarried, and I had a stepfather in the house that I could not stand, and there was a lot of battles in the house. My mom is an alcoholic still to this day, and he unfortunately is gone, but there was a lot of issues with the family. I had a younger sister also in the home, so I was very protective of my younger sister, and I tried to run away several times because I didn't like my stepfather and I didn't like him coming into my room. He never touched me, however, but it never got that far because by the time I rebelled against them plenty of times, I was already in the process of being groomed, because when I would run away, I would end up on the streets, and then I would end up getting groomed with, specific persons. It started at a bus stop, and I ended up coming home one day from school and found all my belongings packed in boxes and on the front porch. My stepfather and my mom threw me out of the house at 15. So who do I call? I called the trafficker because he was the only person I knew. He was my boyfriend.
Oh, okay.
He was grooming you from the age of 13, you said?
Well, I was 15 at that time,
Okay.
but I had been raped when I was 13, so it took a few years for that to, escalate into a different situation, but my mother never knew because I never told her what happened to me.
So Helen, when he was grooming you, did you know that you were being groomed to be sold,
Nope.
to be trafficked?
Nope, not at all. He actually, believably, it was very strange. He actually took me to his own home with his own parents living there.
Wow.
And I lived with them for a little bit, and the next thing I know, we were in a hotel room in Hollywood, and he's telling me what I was going to do to pay back for all the food I ate, and the clothes he bought for me, and all the things that I needed to repay him for.
They would put you on a guilt trip.
Yeah.
That's all part of that.
Then, unfortunately, I had been kidnapped off the strip in Hollywood by another pimp, and I was beaten, and I was taken to several different locations after that, and I almost died several times. I had a knife held to my throat a couple of times. I had we called them Johns. We'll call them Johns.
Yeah.
Johns pulled knives on me. I've had customers beat me. I had a lot of things happen to me. I ended up with another one, another pimp altogether, and he was worse than the other two. So eventually, after traveling to probably 4 or 5 different other states, I ended up at the age of 16, I physically ran away from my pimp, and he was looking for me, and he knew in the vicinity where I had ran to, and I had to lock myself away in a little tiny apartment in the middle of Denver, Colorado, to keep from him finding me.
Wow.
And I lived on oatmeal.
Oh, bless you.
Because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any place to go. And I ended up knowing that I had a court case coming up in Colorado for prostitution, because I had been busted several times. I went to the court to turn myself in to go to court. Now, I was 16 at the time, almost 17, I think. And I turned myself in, and lo and behold, as I was going up to the judge, he was in the courtroom.
Oh, no.
Wow.
And the judge was going to let me go, and I said, no, don't let me go. I want to go to jail. Because I knew
Safer.
if I had gone to jail, it was safer for me
Right.
than having him take me back. Because that was my whole purpose, was to go to jail so I can get away from him.
Did they put you in jail?
Yes, I was in jail. I had a fake ID, so everything that happened to me, I had an ID saying that I was an adult. So I never told anybody that I was a child, because I was groomed to keep that quiet. So when I went to jail, I spent the whole time in jail till I turned 18, and I walked up to the CO and I said, today's my birthday. And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, today's my birthday. I just turned 18, and you should have seen her face. She went completely white. I mean, she was, you're not supposed to be in here. And I said, no, and I've been here for 2 years.
Oh, bless your
Wow.
heart. That is an
Wow.
unbelievable story.
So then they
Oh,
contacted my mother. Actually, they had contacted my sister, my older sister, and she got a hold of my mother, because I didn't know where my mother was. And my mother actually did come and get me from Denver, Colorado, from the women's prison in Colorado. And
did you get out after that?
I got out. They let me out. And they
Thank
said I
God.
shouldn't have been there in the first place. Now here's the
But you
problem.
wanted to go there for safety.
Yeah,
I mean, you lived in jail
Yeah.
for 2 years because you
just
wanted
to be safe.
You were
Just to be
safe.
safe.
Thank
And
goodness.
the
Thank
weird part about
goodness.
it was, one of the other girls that he had working for him ended up in the same jail, and she knew I was there, and she never said a word to him. She never told him that I was there or
Good.
when I was getting out, which fortunately for me, I wish I could have saved her too, because I knew she was
Right.
young too.
Yeah.
Right.
But at that time, you don't think of those things. And when I got home, it was really, really rough, because I didn't have the help like from folks like you. And alcohol took me down that road. It took me 30 plus years to become sober.
Wow.
Well, God bless you. You're a
God
true
bless you.
survivor. Well, I want to ask you, if I could too, and I know this is so courageous of you to speak out,
Thank you.
and we appreciate you so much. You're a true hero. So Helen,
True
if you
hero.
could share with us now, as we wrap up today with this, what you would recommend to those that are watching, those that could potentially become a victim, or those parents or family members that have an
Listen-
opportunity to help protect their children.
Listen to your children.
Yeah.
Talk to your children. Find out what they're doing. Nowadays it's online. Of course, back then I didn't have a computer. We don't have computers back then. But listen to your children. Pay attention to where they're going, who their friends are, what's going on at school. Believe it or not, it's the small things you have to look for. If your kid comes home with a double cell phone, if you've got 2 cell phones, ask why. Why do you have 2 cell phones?
Yes.
Nowadays, that's the big thing.
Yes.
As you know, the tattoos also is another thing. Even though you're not supposed to get
Right.
them, they get them. There's also, you know, like you were mentioning the children at the slumber parties and
Yes.
stuff like that. It's not just about child abuse or sexual abuse within the family. It's just that it happens to the family and the friends.
Yes.
You know, and you have to make sure that your children are able to talk to you freely and believe them when they tell you something is wrong. Because if you don't believe them, then they're just going to think, well, I guess I'm not able to, you know,
Right.
get
And
out of this.
that brings also a thing that is an important point, being the fact that I just interviewed Desiree, and she was on and had so much to say, another survivor that we spoke with, and Destiny also. Both are named similar names, but both are survivors. And they said too that what was important is if your mother won't listen to you, if you have a stepfather, and let's say that the stepfather is getting the mother, like in your case, to go with him, find a teacher, find a counselor, a pastor at church, a neighbor.
Find people.
A neighbor.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
more people are being exposed and opening their hearts and their homes.
Yes, so find someone that's an adult or even an older person that could be an older teenager that's mature enough that you can go to them and say, please help me, this is what's happening to me. And come out, because I know that Destiny, for instance, also came forward and said she was too afraid to tell anybody. And she didn't. And finally, God brought to her someone she could speak to and was also able to get her out, just like, thank God you were able to get out. It was so sad that you went through the time in prison, but how sad for our world that it was safer for you in prison. God bless you than to be a young child out by yourself, away. So parents, think about that.
And
remember,
like you said, if they are
important.
children, and if they are children of the age to know better, like you knew that you had to run. There's going to be a time where they're not keeping you pumped up with drugs or whatever, where you're sober for that split second and you know you want to get out. So to run and do what the safety thing, the courage, what you did to run was so courageous at the age of 15.
Yes.
So courageous.
It was.
And I can't imagine how much muster that takes as a young child, with really two parents that turned their back, and you were by yourself with something that you knew wasn't right in your head and your heart, and you did something about it. So if we can get those 15, 16-year-olds to just find that split second of a moment going, this isn't right.
Yeah.
Well,
And we'll help them to have the courage to do it.
And I can tell you, and speaking to teenagers and young girls, and I know that what they see is dollar signs, and they see nice things and diamond rings and nice clothes, and they see all this fancy cars, and they see now they've got the internet, and you got all these, you know, social media places making you look beautiful, feel beautiful, but behind the scenes, it's not beautiful. And it is not something that you want to get into. And I'm going to tell you that no matter what clothes you are given by somebody or what they do for you, it is not worth it. It is not worth your life, and it's not worth your sanity.
Yeah.
Because I was on the brink several times.
Yeah.
I know. I can imagine.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
And please do reach out. You can go to RCN, rescuechildrennow.org. We have all the trafficking numbers. We're going to put that at the bottom of the screen. There are helplines. There are those there like us to help. And Ameliorate as well. We're here for you. You've got a friend. If you are out there watching and you have a situation like this, please reach out to us and we will see that you are brought to safety. Thank you so much. People care.
Yeah.
And the majority of people in this world are good people. And we want to make a difference and protect our children. Helen, thank you. We cannot thank you enough for your courageous words, coming out, speaking out. It's not easy.
Thank you.
But you are such a great humanitarian and a great hero.
Thank you.
And thank you for all that you do.
I love
Thank you for
getting
having
these
me.
survivors to speak up for us.
Thank you so much
Thank
for tuning
you,
in.
Helen.
This is another edition of our podcast for RCN and Ameliorate. Until next time, be sure and make a difference.